when you have the cake 15 minutes out of the oven while it is still warm. Do not allow your sponges to be lying in the room temperature for a longer period of time. You don't have to wait to get the sponge or the cake to come down to complete room temperature. By doing that, you're going to get the sponge dry. So when you know it is still warm and you're able to handle the pan, okay, get the cling wrap out, transfer the cake onto the cling wrap directly because it is going to be too soft, and remove the butter paper lining, okay, and then wrap it gently because it is going to be soft at this stage, right? So don't put too much pressure or you might lose out on the circle shape. Now wrap it once and make sure there is no bigger air pockets inside or any holes through which the air could go in. Now check for the bigger air pockets and release the air, and then let the cling wrap tightly pack around on the cake. Now one layer is not enough because it is going to allow the moisture to escape. So once you've done, do another layer of cling wrap. And then seal that. So this step is very crucial to have your layered cakes not to dry. Otherwise, you're just going to complain or have people complaining about your cakes being dry if you haven't over baked. See, that one stage where you could have your sponges dry is you have over baked it. Now that is why we are keeping a check at the place where when the toothpick comes out clean, you have to take it out. And the next place where your cakes could turn out dry is when you're going to allow the sponge to be exposed in room temperature. So while it is still warm, cling wrap it in 2 layers, making sure there is no air pockets locked in. 2 layers of cling wrap. So this you will do to any sponge that you're going to use for layering. If you're going to fill and frost a cake, except for a tea cake or a travel cake that you're going to use it without any layering, this is the step that we will be following in all the lessons where layering is going to be there. So after the cling wrap stage, the sponges have to be kept in the freezer. Freezer is the place where water turns into ice, which means the water solidifies. That is where the sponges have to be kept, and you need to place the sponges one next to the other, and while it is still soft. Now after an hour in the freezer, while they have been kept one next to the other, you will find that the sponges have firmed up and they are really very solid. At that stage, you could take the sponge and then place one on top of the other, allowing more freezer space to keep more things inside. Now when you are ready to frost the cake, now you have to take the sponges out of the freezer and keep it in the room temperature. 30 minutes you are ready to frost the cake, and you have to keep the cling wrap on. Allow the condensation to happen on the outside, and after 30 minutes you have to remove. At the end of 30 minutes you have to be sure that the sponge is still firm and cold, and we are only letting the condensation to happen on the outside, and then you remove the cling wrap when you are exactly ready to tote them and then layer them. So the timing that you plan to take the cake out of the freezer is when you have to keep rest of all the elements ready for the filling, and your cream and everything has to be ready at the end of the 30 minutes. And so you have the sponge at the right time for you to be able to cut and then layer, and you have all the other filling and the frosting elements also. So you could layer them while the cake is firm and cold. This step is very, very important to have your cakes right, to have a hassle-free, stress-free layering. Your cakes have to be firm and they have to go into the freezer, not into the refrigerator. And you cannot bake a cake and use it for layering the same day when it is baked. Okay, so this is part of pre-prep. Baking sponge itself should happen the previous day, than the time when you need to layer them, finish layering and frosting them. So this storing of cake part is very important, that you will follow to any sponge that you will be making in any part of the lesson or in the future also.